In this video, we are going to look into the stretch command and the different ways you can use it. The stretch command allows you to easily change the shape of an element. If I'm selecting this rafter, for example, with the active point on the lower side here, and go stretch active point, you see that the first option is red. It is red because by using this one, you are going to lose all cuts added to your elements. So if I'm simply changing here and using value and 12 inches, now I lost all the cuts I previously had, so the plumb cuts and the bird's mouth. So this option here should be used only on elements that are actually rectangular shaped. I mentioned that the location of the active point was really important, and the thing is, it can be only on one end or the other. If the active point is, for example, right in the middle, if you try to stretch the active point, it cannot actually go forward. So here you will need to make sure to place your active point, stretch, active point, and here set your value. So then here we have the stretch with lasso. And this is something that we can use on this element, for example, if we want to stretch it, but keeping its cut. So when we stretch, lasso point, and here you can lasso around the point of the element that should be stretched, basically the point that should be moving. So when you select this, we will have the ability to choose whether we want to stretch along the length, width, or height. This is, of course, of the element currently selected. So length, value, 12, and here it goes. If we have more than one element activated, stretch, lasso point. Here I'm just going to look from the top to make the selection of my point easier. So like this, I don't actually select the bird's mouth. Here, along the length, still from the element with the active point. And here we can actually stretch everything. So then we have also the lasso align. Lasso align here, if I'm selecting also this element right next to it and stretch lasso align, I will also here need to select the point. So here I'm also selecting the end face. And now here automatically you can select a point or a value. So this stretch is always along the length. So here it's stretching them back to be aligned with this point. And all the points were aligned to this point according to the length. So as you can see here, it's not aligned with this point. It's simply that if we were to go in a 2D plane, my elements are now, it was the bottom, the active point was at the bottom, and you see here that the point is actually aligned with this, perpendicular to that point. Okay, so it's perpendicular to the length. If we would like to actually align the element directly with this line, of course we could cut it, or what we could be using here is the adjust and not the align. So here, again, view from the top, stretch, adjust, select here, and now here we can actually set the plane we wish to align to. So here it could be perpendicular to X, and now we can select this. And now if we look from the side, we can see that we are actually aligned with that point. This is something that can, like in this case, have all the elements now aligned with one another, but this is not all. So here, for example, if I were to select these element here, and let's say that I will cut them short, so CX and here, we can now move the active point on the end face and go stretch, lasso adjust, view from the top to make the selection easier, and now here you can actually select any plane in any direction, and here I can actually select the valley, and all my element will stretch to meet that valley. So all my element were stretched with different values. Thing that is also interesting with every command such as cut and stretch is that if you add a end type, as we have here a lengthening, the lengthening will also always remain at the end of your beam. Then we have an option called Stretch Active Facet. For example, here I would like to make this element wider. If I'm selecting it with this face active and go to Stretch Active Facet, I can go here to a point value plane of facet. So here I'm just going to set value and 1/4 inch. It's stretching my element. But here the thing is, you see, now I have a collision between this element and that post. So here if we would like to also stretch the connecting facet, so make sure that the face of that post gets also shrunk. You can select the element here, and here I will have to use the shortcut. So 7, and now you can use the shortcut T for neighbor facets, and now we can add the lengthening. So here, as you can see, it selects the element that have been changed by this, and here we no longer have any collision whatsoever. Then there is the option to stretch several facets at the same time, and this allows you to change the section of an element without losing its cut. So if you go stretch several facets, I can then select here different face and go here value 1 inch. On one single element, this works great, but if we have more elements to adjust, we'll see that there is more appropriate options. This option here, for example, could be really useful when, let's say that we have a slab like this, and we know that we should then extend it like 1/2 inch on either side. So we can simply select it with the active point within the point that needs to be moved, stretch several facets, and here we can simply select the face with the lasso and value 5 inches, and you can grow an element pretty easily with this function.